U.S. animal abuse records have been deleted under the Trump administration, and there's been a number of critics out there wondering why. So first, this is according to National Geographic, quote, 2 weeks into the Trump administration, thousands of documents detailing animal welfare violations nationwide have been removed from the website of the USDA, which has been posting them publicly for decades. These are the inspection records and annual reports for every commercial animal facility in the U.S. So that includes zoos, breeders, factory farms, laboratories, puppy mills, all of the above. And then it goes on to say, quote, these records have revealed many cases of abuse and mistreatment of animals, incidents that, if the reports had not been publicly posted, would likely have remained hidden. So that's the scary and alarming thing here, is that the reporters, the investigative reporters, the Mother Jones, what they do is they'll find these reports and they'll expose them to the public so then we can make an informed decision. Mm-hmm. So exposés like on the Ringling Brothers, that all came from the USDA and these documents and then these reports, and then we can go, wow, I didn't know that elephants were treated that way, or the tigers, and the same thing with SeaWorld and puppy mills and laboratories. So it's so important to have that information because it empowers the journalists to give us, the public, the information so we can make those informed decisions. So then the article goes on to say that the USDA Animal and Plant Health Inspection Services, the APHIS, which has maintained the online database, cites privacy concerns as justification for the removal in the past 2 weeks. Now, critics are really upset about that because, like I mentioned earlier, this has been on there for decades. So why now? And then it also states here, the agency has long redacted sensitive information from these records, and commercial facilities do not necessarily have the same right to privacy as private individuals. So now the concern is how will reporters or somebody that wants to investigate a specific, even if it's like a roadside zoo, and you're curious how these animals are being treated and you want to look up if there's been any sort of incidents, now what they can do is they can find these documents, but they will be accessible only via official requests made under the Freedom of Information Act. And that takes months. It's a long, drawn-out process, so it's not as accessible, and it's really going to limit these exposés. So it's pretty scary and unjust, and I can't figure out why this is necessary.
Yeah, I mean, with the Freedom of Information Act, that also costs a lot of money, and so these are people who are concerned about animals, right? There's not a lot of money that goes into that, and so then again, we are taking away rights of people or animals, beings that are voiceless, and that's really scary and seems to be a very common theme in this administration.
I know. Why hide it? Transparency is everything. So, what is the come up though? Is there financial gain to not having these regulations? I can't figure out why.
I think it comes back to oversight, and this administration has made it very clear with a number of policies that they want as little oversight as possible, and they're rolling back a lot of regulations. And I think that limiting our access to the USDA is just sort of a symptom of them rolling back a lot of regulations. So I understand, and I'm not shocked that it would be the Trump administration that would want to do this, because this gives a lot of private commercial businesses that use animals way more freedom to do sort of whatever they want without anyone, without a checks and balance system. So I understand why they can now go about their business in a way, because sometimes doing the ethical thing, and we all know this, doing the right thing with animals, treating them the right way is time consuming and expensive. And sometimes when people don't care about animals, then they don't want to do that. That for them is a hassle. That's a hurdle for them to get over in their business.
No, they just want to make money.
Right. And so what this administration is doing is they want it to be as easy as possible for businesses to make money, because we have a businessman running the government, so he's going to run our country like a business, and the way to do that is just like do whatever you need to do to make money, and no questions asked sort of thing. And by limiting our access to the USDA, it really is a no questions asked. We can't ask questions because we can't access the information to ask those questions.
But U.S. citizens need the transparency so we can be informed.
Well, right. I think that's the thing, is I think that he does want to remove the regulations, and I think they do want, there's definitely financial gain to be had there, but I think it's a common theme in this administration to remove as much information as possible.
I know.
They want to be the providers of the information that they get to filter, that they get to decide what is going out. So I think they are trying to remove all information, and that they're the sole providers of the facts.
So scary.
Yeah, there's a reasonable way to do it. Like, I get it. Like, I know people who run businesses, and the idea of regulations can be frustrating. And there's some that are out there that, you know, are bad ones, but I don't think this is.
Right.
I think I totally understand the instinct. If I run a circus and it's more expensive for me to treat these animals fairly, I don't, economically, like I've already made monkeys dance for me for peanuts. Like, it's fine to just kind of lock them away. And this is happening, to your point, for the restriction of information that goes all the way down to the media, and then the EPA. It's
I was
mandated
just going to say the EPA.
for any study to now go through the administration, which has already said that they want to get rid of regulations in like weird ways, like the weird, least logical way possible. There's a rule saying that for any one EPA regulation that you add, or any regulation, you have to get rid of 2 more. But it doesn't have like an ideological.
That's like the rule for your closet. Like when you add a piece of clothing, that's not a rule
but
for
like,
law.
yeah, it's like, okay, that's like saying, listen, to lose weight, you need to eliminate 2 things you eat for every one that you do eat from your pantry. But like that, I can add like a gallon of ice cream and take away 2 like, tiny bowls of granola.
Right.
So you need more information to guide your decisions. And I think this is really,
this is scary.
really frustrating.
It's unjust. It's scary. It's unethical. At the end of the day, this is going to embolden those that make money off of animals, and then we don't have the informed decision. We can't go up. Look at us 20 years ago. People showing up to SeaWorld thinking, very ignorantly that these animals are treated fine and that they're okay, and it's a good thing for us to learn that that this isn't okay. So then we can make those informed decisions and spend our money to support these causes that we believe in. And it's so upsetting to me.
The takeaway for us is like, let's just make it so that these ideas that you have, like the businesses that you have, aren't being dicks.
Yeah.
Like, it's super lazy to say, listen, let's just, instead of treating the animals better, make it so people don't know we're treating the animals poorly. There's so many other businesses out there you can do, and there's just no incentive in the capitalist system, which is a good system, I think, but there's no incentive to adhere to these like ethical things that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Well, they said they weren't actually required to remove these documents, right? So that means, from my understanding, is that somebody paid a sum of money so that they could have it removed, which means that they're doing something really effed up, which is really sad. And
it's so
awful.
sad.
Yeah.
So
final thought.
Yeah. So anecdotally, you brought up SeaWorld because I think it's important to explain how important the USDA is. The USDA was instrumental in providing the information that gave us the film Blackfish that affected so many people. So whenever you are, from my research, whenever you're affected by a story about animal abuse that really hits home, a lot of that information within the United States has been provided by the USDA. So that's why this organization is so important, why it's so important that we have these agencies to provide us this information, just so that you guys are aware. Like Blackfish is a great example about what they can do using this information to mobilize your audience, using a documentary to inform people.
Exactly.
I just think that's just
Adopt, Don't Shop too. Adopt, Don't Shop came from an expose because a lot of people didn't realize that they were getting their doggies from these horrific puppy mills where these dogs were dead or malnourished or had scabs or it's terrible. So because of the regulations, because of the USDA, because of the records, we've been able to be informed, and these investigative journalists have been able to expose these really shitty companies, like you said, they're making money off being horrible, unethical people, and now I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, and listen.
Final thought, sorry.
Like they always say as a response, like, you guys are being like tree huggers, and it's like we're not.
Oh, I always get that.
But we're
Are you
not
kidding me?
I'm not. I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm not trying to put these regulations in your way because I hate you. I don't know you. I don't care. It just doesn't seem ethical. It doesn't seem moral. It doesn't seem right to do these things. And to say we're running the government, people want to run the government like a business, that's great when you're actually going after inefficiencies. That's great when that's earnestly your attempt. But what ends up happening so often is it's like they have this quiver full of things you can't disagree with, and they pull arrows out of it like, we want to reduce the size of government. Who's gonna, we want to reduce the overwhelming shitty regulations. Like, I can't disagree with that. But what you're doing is actually just giving leeway for your friends to make more cash in ways that are terrible. And
at the cost of animals.
And
or the environment.
Some people don't give a fuck about animals, and I get it. And they're like, listen, a chicken's not the same as a person, and I'm fine with that. I eat chickens all the fucking time. They're delicious. But the overarching like ethos behind it should be one of like, for health of people, like, don't leave that to just capitalism alone. The government needs to check to make sure people's health isn't being taken advantage of, because of course they're going to spend whatever they have to stay alive. And then for the environment, it's like, listen, you're gonna end up, and I'm gonna do a video on Facebook for the main channel today, you're gonna end up like literally causing abortions. Like you're gonna end up causing stillborn babies if you get rid of environmental protections.
Right.
Like that's what we're talking about. You can't run that like a business, because a business is like, I don't care about the babies outside Cleveland, I care about making money.
Yeah, we could go on and on and on, but please keep the conversation going and transparency. It's all about transparency, and we'll see you next time on Pop Sugar.